Connor.
Hello.
This is my friend Connor, ladies and gentlemen. My bespoke driving simulator / arcade racer friend. The one with the most authority on the subject.
Yeah, that's not much authority, but it's enough. It's enough for these purposes.
I think it's fair to say that you're a fan of racing games over any other type of games,
I'm
isn't
a fan of racing, period.
Period. You heard it here, people. Connor is a fan of racing, period.
I do. I race my girlfriend on a regular basis to see if I can get on the blob first.
Oh! But we've just been playing Forza 6, haven't we, Con?
We have. We've had a little blast.
We have, yeah. I like it a lot, and I haven't played an actual numbered Forza game since probably... Actually, I played 4.
Was it 3?
No, it must have been 4. No, because 4 was... No, 4 was on the 360, wasn't it?
4 was on the 360.
Yeah, I played 4. And last experience I had with the Forza game was Horizons 2, which is probably the best racing game I've ever played.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe bar PGR 3. I'm not sure yet. I'd have to replay it.
It depends whether you're looking at nostalgia or not.
This is true. This is true.
Nostalgia plays a big part.
Because if it was nostalgia, it would be Burnout. So
yeah, fair play. Or the original Need for Speed Undergrounds.
Yeah. Oh god, they were good. But yeah, Khan, what's your impressions? Being a big Forza fan, what's your impressions of Forza 6 so far?
I am a big Forza fan. I just have to have full disclosure. I am a bit biased.
Of course.
Forza is my go-to racing franchise. It's got the right balance between that. It's not too sim, but it's sim.
It's not Gran Turismo, is it? Which is almost annoying.
No, it's the Xbox Gran Turismo, and I'm not one of these people who slates Gran Turismo because Gran Turismo is an absolutely fabulous game.
Yeah, definitely.
But Forza 6 has definitely raised the bar, and the problem is we don't have the Sony competitor to compare it to in Gran Turismo.
No.
Obviously, we have Drive Club, but very, very different game.
Yeah,
trying to get very different game philosophy across.
Yeah.
But in terms of what I've played so far, it's good. A lot of good selling points.
Yeah,
a lot of good selling. As a Forza fan, a lot of things that we've been demanding for a long time.
Like fucking night races.
Like wet weather races. I don't know why Turn 10 has taken this long to bring it.
It is crazy considering that the last racing game was actually on a new gen console.
Yeah, absolutely. But
the last two, actually. Actually, no, Turn 10...
Well... Horizons 2 was on 360 and...
Oh, right.
So it wasn't a next-gen exclusive. And I believe that was still going off the 360 engine, which would make sense with it being on the 360.
Yeah, you assume so. Just like a... I don't know, we need to do some fucking research before we do
I probably should. I should probably know this off the top of my head. But alas, here I am.
But how do you think it compares to Forza 5?
Forza 5? It's got more features, more tracks, more cars, more car porn, which is what car games are all about.
Oh, of course.
They're about the culture. And the thing that will carry through on any Forza game is that community, that online community. But in terms of the raw game itself, considerably better. And just in the fact that there's so much more content, so much more to do.
Because I think there's a general worry that with them being not necessarily they are bi-yearly. The numbered Forzas will be bi-yearly now, won't they? But you'd assume now they'll just do a Horizon, say next year will be Horizon 3, year after. And I think there's a concern that it might be a slightly too rushed development cycle. What's your view on that, really?
Everyone's slated Turn 10 for Forza 5. I still greatly enjoyed Forza 5. I think a lot of the criticism that it came through was justified, but in many other ways wasn't justified.
Yeah.
In terms of what Playground Games will do with Horizons, I have no concerns. I have a lot of faith in Playground. And
the aptly named Playground.
Well, indeed, because Horizons is nothing but a giant playground.
It's fucking wonderful. It's so good.
It's glorious, is what it is. I absolutely love that game. It's amazing. But no, in terms of the development cycle, that does not concern me. I have faith in the developers and what they can do.
Yeah.
In Dan Greenwald to come out every couple of years and just be like, "Hey guys, I've got my new game. It's the exact same as the last one with a few extra tracks and some new cars, buddies." Yeah. But you get what you pay for with a racing game.
Yeah,
you get some cars, you get some tracks, and you go around.
It's not like it's not the most experimental of genres, is it? Really?
No, it's not narrative driven. They don't need time to come up with these stories, except for cringeworthy opening cutscenes.
We've got to talk about that cutscene at some point because it was incredible.
No, absolutely. I know I'm so sad, but I kind of loved it. Yet even I knew.
Yeah,
like,
well, you're a
wow.
racing fan, aren't you? It sort of hits you where it hurts.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
they know where to go.
Anybody who hasn't bought Forza 6 or hasn't seen the opening cutscene, go watch it on YouTube now. It's incredible. It defines the art of wanky title sequences. It's fucking brilliant. But you know.
Why do we race? Is it to prove how fast we are? How far we can go? Do we race to find our place? To test our beliefs? To be part of something greater? To face fear? To know sacrifice? To grow stronger? To become immortal? In truth, there is no simple answer to why we race. There is only the fact that we always will.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the actual gameplay. I should have written a list of questions down, and learned how to speak properly as well before doing.
Well, that is the beauty of audio editing. You can chop out whatever doesn't
whatever
fit.
the fuck I like.
Exactly.
Have you tried the multiplayer out yet, Carl?
Very, very briefly. Very
Yeah,
briefly. I have tried as with any racing game, you're gonna get knobs
Of course.
who want nothing more than to put you in a wall and drink your tears whilst they laugh themselves down the road merrily.
Indeed.
And you're just left there frustrated.
That's always going to be a problem in every racing game,
Exactly,
isn't it, really?
exactly.
Because some people don't care about getting slow lap times. They just want to troll everybody else.
The one thing I will say, I found a lot of people actually speaking with mics,
Oh, Jesus.
which I haven't heard on Xbox Live in years.
Yeah, especially on a racing game. It's usually-
Well, yeah, I mean, as with any game, you'll come across.
Yeah.
If you get
some
lucky
groups.
and you get into a game where there's a group of people who know each other and they're talking, you might be able to spark up a conversation because you've got that mutual interest. You're both playing the same game. They're going to be interested in the cars. But the one thing I've always found about, I've never had connections issues with Forza games, and that's been true of the Horizon games and the numbered Forzas, the Forza Motorsport series. Top notch, absolutely top notch.
Well, I think they've proven like Microsoft isn't afraid to throw money at them now.
No,
because they sell, obviously they sell well every year. I mean, I don't know of any numbers, but you'd assume they sell well every year if they're coming out every year now.
They wouldn't be making them as often as they were.
Exactly.
But they need to have that flagship in different areas, and in the racing series, Forza is their flagship.
Yeah,
and for those who are interested, and I know racing games are a bit niche.
Yeah.
There's no denying that. They're not going to be everyone's cup of tea, but for those who do like it, Forza and Gran Turismo are going to be the best sellers.
Yeah, the go-tos.
They're both up there, and you know what? I'm actually really excited to see what Sony can come back with after 6, because this has raised the bar.
Yeah.
And I want to know what they can produce on next gen,
because they're all going to be playing each other's games. You know, they're first
course.
at the booze at the fucking conferences.
The only reason Forza is as good as Forza is because Gran Turismo was that
Sort of
flagship.
Yeah.
You know, that was the bar to beat, and that they've come with it.
Yeah.
Especially after addressing the weaknesses of 5, and they've really built on the groundwork that they had in 5. And 5 was a good game. You felt like they had a good groundwork, but it felt like that's all there was.
Yeah. It was the testing grounds for a new system.
Exactly.
So I think Sony tried to get their own Forza. I mean, obviously they've got Gran Turismo. They're always going to have Gran Turismo, but the development cycle is so slow.
So slow.
And I don't expect to see a next Gran Turismo game until at least 2017, at least. So they tried to, establish a new IP with Drive Club, and it worked, but it didn't work until about 3 months after the game released. And I think it's an impeccable racer now, but at the time, obviously, for all the connection issues, and it was the shoddiest release of any new IP in history.
I've got to say, it was beautiful.
Oh, it's
Club was
fucking lovely.
fabulous looking.
Probably the best looking console game still to this day. Wind Waker's still a little bit better, people. I'm trying to establish that. But no, I mean, it's one of those. It's a classic example of a game that doesn't just have its looks, but it doesn't. It's a great driving game, but it doesn't have much to build on. It's just a tourer, really.
It is, and it's that arcade feel. And again, I can't comment on the community, and community plays a huge part in any game.
Of course, yeah.
And especially racing games, and especially a game called Drive Club that is based around that social aspect. I mean, in terms of the weather effects, I've never seen such good weather effects in a driving game as
Incredible.
Drive Club.
Incredible.
And don't get me wrong, Forza has.
It's a stunning game. Forza's still a gorgeous game.
Absolutely. And the wet weather effects are also top notch. I mean, like the puddles, when you hit that puddle at speed, you will feel it pull the car.
Yeah, yeah.
You know you're aquaplane.
Yeah.
You know that you need to avoid those because it does have a big detrimental impact into your speed, which is very different to Horizons 2. Very different to Horizons 2. But in terms of areas where they could definitely improve, although they have finally brought night racing, they've finally brought wet weather racing.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a more dynamic cycle.
Yeah, there's because the puddles, when they do form, it's always in a set position on the track, isn't it?
You're either tipping it down with rain or you're bone dry.
Yeah.
There's no middle ground.
Yeah.
And the middle ground is where the racing gets really interesting. It's
Right.
where the meek are sifted out.
Yeah, of course.
You know, you've either got the balls to keep it down and mess it up, or you just play it safe and try and hope that those people who are going hell for leather are going to go straight into a wall and go on the grass. And it's a shame that option isn't there, but it's definitely a big step in the right direction.
Oh yeah, you can imagine probably in the next Horizon game, you're going to see a little bit more dynamism. Is that the word? Is that a word? Dynamism?
Dynamism?
Dynamism, is that it? Dynamism?
We'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah, more dynamism in terms of spontaneous weather changes. Is it spontaneous in Forza? I know it's always in fixed locations and stuff, but is it in terms of, can it start raining in the middle of a race, or is it always raining at the start of a race?
Sorry, is this 6 or 2?
Six.
Okay, not that I've experienced so far.
Right.
There isn't that from dry to wet, or that wet to dry. You're either bone dry or you're soaking.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And that is definitely big room for improvement.
Yeah, of course, it has to be.
Yeah, there's always room for improvement.
Because like we've mentioned before in this very video, like there isn't much room for improvement now in terms of what they can do in driving games aside from the small things. And as soon as they nail the small things, it's just going to be a case of keeping up with how cars change in the future.
Absolutely, it's always going to be in the details.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, also it's how you interact with it. Although I play a lot of racing games, I'm not hardcore enough to have a £300 racing wheel pedal setup. And I'm sure there will be elements that will need to be improved around that for those who do love the ultimate sim experience.
Yeah.
But that's going to be as much down to the hardware that you're purchasing as much as
yeah.
how the developer works with their partners to create that. But those are much more long-term cycles.
Well, yeah, I mean, Microsoft are never going to fund a game that's so outlandishly simmy that it's going to have such a niche audience.
No, that's what PCs are for.
Exactly. That's what for the people who can afford the big £300 fucking setups. Probably more than that.
Multi-screens, so they've got the immersive experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got professional racing drivers who are using these systems to prepare for races now.
Yeah.
That's how good they're getting. I'm going to name drop Max Verstappen for all you F1 fans out there who might know who that is. He regularly plays sim racing games, and in recent Grand Prix has made overtaking moves that he has credited to the games to say the only reason I knew to do that overtake is because I've done it so many times in a game.
That's incredible.
It really is.
I love that games are becoming more,
utilitarian for the real world.
There we go, utilitarian. Words, people. That's why people use them.
We're bringing the motherfucking glossary to the motherfucking YouTube. Oh yes.
Con, is there anything you don't really like about the game?
There are some things that I'm in two minds about.
Yeah.
And I know from the brief playthrough that we've had that you seem to quite like it. The new mod system with packs.
Yeah, I really like that.
So FIFA.
It is very FIFA.
So FIFA.
It's very Titanfall-y as well.
Or Hearthstone even.
Yeah.
It just seems odd that a racing game needs to have packs.
Especially a sim, which is very po-faced. No, not as po-faced as something like Gran Turismo, but still very much, you know...
it thinks a lot of itself.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
I'm in two minds. I'm in two minds for several reasons. Because, number one, I know it just seems a bit cheap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here to race a car.
Yeah, exactly.
When I get in my car, I don't turn it on and Ford goes, "Hey, Con, do you want some extra grip today?" You know, it just
Pucker
seems
up the tyres for you.
But then at the other hand, like the Dare system.
The Dare system, I don't think we counted that, or did we?
No, okay, so there are 3 different types of cards. You may have noticed the different colour.
Oh, so some of them give you an advantage, some of them give you a disadvantage.
Exactly.
So you get more credits for the disadvantage.
So, for example, you can have a Dare card that will reduce your power output of your engine.
Right.
But also you need to reach a specific target, and for reaching that target, it will give you more credits.
That's pretty cool.
And it's quite cool because it gives you more of a challenge. And who doesn't like a challenge in video games? That's why we're here to play them.
I think more of the people would be, maybe even you, would be more satisfied if it was just that.
Yes.
More of an element of challenge as opposed to something that can give you...
Plus credits, plus XP,
credits,
plus
exactly.
manufacturer XP, and all these types of things. Affinity XP, sorry, let me use the correct terminology. Sorry, Turn 10. Sorry, Dan. Mr. Greenwald, don't want to pee you off. But no, I'm still in two minds about it. As I said, the main negative for me is the lack of transitional weather conditions, the lack of dynamism in that weather system, not being able to do a night and wet weather race. I mean, that would just be
amazing.
A really cool challenge.
Because that's something that happens in Drive Club. It's like, it's completely random. It could change at any second. You can preset it beforehand, but it is just sort of roll on.
Yeah, and when the competition in the racing game area of gaming has never been so intense.
It really
never
is.
been so intense.
It really is sort of very contentious at the moment.
But the absolute biggest big up I have to give to Turn 10 and to Microsoft, there's not many big ups they tend to get these days. The absolute big up I have to do is they released a game that works.
Oh, but
who would have seen that coming? I mean, the last racing game I brought was Project Cars, and can you say broken? Dear God.
I mean, aside from the fact that it looked a bit too simmy for my liking,
it was very simmy.
The fact that it was very broken.
It was enjoyable when it worked.
Yeah.
The key word being when it worked.
yeah.
I took it back. I couldn't be dealing with it. I was like, I'm not paying £40 for a game that does not work.
That is inherently broken.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a real big shame because that game had so much potential.
And it was in development for so long. They pushed it back and back and back and back.
But that just is testament to Turn 10 and to Microsoft for releasing a solid working game.
Yeah.
With I got trepidation then. I was like, is he going to burp? Right down the line.
That's staying in.
That's fine. The not only that, they've got a game with a lot of breadth, 450 odd cars, 26 locations with multiple track layouts. All of these cars are in such level of detail that you can go into the Forza Vista, which is essentially just a viewing mode for those of you who don't know. I mean, to get it to that level of detail, have it working in this day and age,
is a bit of a miracle.
It's a bit of a novelty, isn't it?
No, yeah.
To pay £40 for something that actually works.
It is. It really is. That's a completely different subject. We could be here for hours.
We could be here for hours. And it's probably best we avoid that like the plague.
Also, something notable about Forza 6 is microtransactions. The absence of, I should say.
Indeed.
Well, seemingly the absence of. We've just checked just to be
on the safe side.
And we're fairly sure. I mean, I remember hearing somewhere that they've completely erased every aspect of microtransactions in this one because apparently they were so paranoid about some kind of a kickback resembling the last time they released a numbered Forza game. You said you're not a big fan of that? Controversially.
Controversially. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take you on a journey. A journey through time.
Don't spit at your computer screens, ladies and gentlemen.
Try not to. We're going to go all the way back to the release date of the Xbox One itself, when Forza 5 originally came out, and everyone everyone, it seemed, was up in arms. I remember Boogie.
It was a big thing. Yeah.
Boogie, loads of YouTubers everywhere were up in arms. Microtransactions. Microtransactions. And what really annoyed me is the fact that most of these people had not played the Forza series. They have no interest in racing games.
Yeah.
These are people who are commentators of the industry and have the time to sit on their backsides and play these games all damn day. Not everyone's like that. Not everyone's like that. One of the main thing that they said was, it takes you so much time to get these top cars and people can come in and just buy them.
Yeah.
What's so wrong about it? Not everyone's got
hours and
hours to sink into a racing game. They might just want to do some career, get some of the best cars, have a thrash around on the test track, play the game how they want to play it. And I think having that option is not a bad thing.
No.
If you want to play the game and you want to unlock that content traditionally like I would, all the power to you. Go out and do it. Are you suffering because other people can have cool cars?
No. There's a very delicate balance to strike between the two, isn't there?
There is.
And I think Forza 5 did it reasonably well. I mean, I'm never a fan of microtransactions in any situation. I always go against them, but I think it struck the balance particularly well there.
And I would like to say I'm not a fan of purchasing stuff like that myself. I've never used it, but I can understand why they're there. Rank profiteering. but also for convenience for some players who want that. And to take away that because of what some people in the gaming media have said, I think Microsoft needs to stop bowing to pressure all the time. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of things that they should have. Connect.
Yeah.
Case in point.
Yeah.
But there are other things where actually it's not that big a deal.
Yeah.
And
just sit on it.
Having a bit of backbone might actually help. But
gives you the leg up, I suppose.
Absolutely.
So overall, Con, you're a fan?
I am a fan.
Do you prefer... I mean, I know this is apples and oranges, but do you prefer it to Horizon 2 so far? No.
And I will say this to anyone. If you want a game where you can go out and blast around the best tracks in the world with the latest and greatest cars, with a better graphics engine, with a cool weather system that actually affects the racing, Forza 6 is the game for you. And I absolutely advise you go out and immediately purchase it because you will not be disappointed. However, if you're a casual racing game fan, you want to have a barrel of laugh with your mates, go and drive into trees left, right and centre, go around and try and find some barns, Forza Horizon 2 is the way to go. The level of fun and randomness that can occur in that game will never be matched by something based on tracks.
Of course,
and that was really a revelation that Horizon 2 really nailed that system.
Absolutely.
But for those of you who do like racing games in general and want to experience the best engine, the best cars, the best tracks, go out and buy it. You will not regret it.
Or if you just want like the best racing game in the world, you go buy The Crew. It's as simple as that.
Don't make me come over there and slap you. I'll bitch slap you, son.